Okay, everyone, we are going to continue reading We Dream of Space, so please turn to page 225. Page 225 is the page you are going to start at. Okay, let's begin. And why did he open the door and step inside? He didn't know. One motion followed the other, and he didn't think much about it. He didn't turn on the light. He closed the door and nestled himself deep into the darkness. He was in a jungle of clothes. He sat down. He brought his knees to his chest and breathed. His mother's perfume, laundry detergent, shoes, his father. He pushed his back against the wall. Clothes dangled over his forehead. He used to stow away in here and there when he was little. The three of them, him, his sister, and his brother, used to play hide and seek, and this was the first place he'd go. The hems didn't even reach the top of his head back then, and it became known as his favorite hiding spot, but eventually he got smart. Instead of throwing himself into the closet and closing the door with his heart pounding, he left the door open and stacked and arranged the clothes neatly around him on his lap, all the way up to his chin and all over his face, so he was completely camouflaged. Nothing to see here but a pile of dirty clothes. I messed it up. Sorry, guys. I wrote the wrong page. It should be 235. Oh, okay. Rewind. My fault. So everyone should be on 235, Wednesday, January 15th, 1986, Legendary. Am I still going to 251? You are going to... Yeah, 251. Oh, okay. It makes it shorter for you. Okay, perfect. Okay, back to page 235. Okay, the air was charged when Fitch walked in. He expected as much. He planned for it. It went just as he suspected. All eyes were on him. They followed him from door to desk. The stairs burned as he passed by. He purposely arrived just before the tardy bell, had even avoided Vern before class so he wouldn't make a fuss. But there was a fuss anyway. Not just stares, whispers too. He heard them the moment he got to school. Girls nudging each other, giggles, fingers pointing even. His cheeks warmed with embarrassment. He didn't want the attention. He wanted to erase everything. He wanted to push it far away until it disappeared into the galaxy and evaporated into a black hole. But he couldn't, and he couldn't stop thinking about Amanda. What would he have said to her when he saw her? What would he do? What would she say? What would she do? He sat down and pretended like her desk wasn't there inches from his, and even though it gaped at him, waiting for her arrival. Dude, everyone is flipping out over what happened, Vern said. He too shifted his eyes to Amanda's desk. People are saying the cops took you away in handcuffs. He grinned. You're a legend. Fitch couldn't read Vern's expression. It was somewhere between awe and jealousy. He wanted to see something negative there, something that judged him and matched what he felt inside, but there was no negativity on Vern's face. In fact, most of the looks thrown his way were full of questions, not judgment. What exactly was legendary about what he'd done? Amanda switched classes, said Vern. Fitch kept his expression blank, but his heart thundered. What do you mean? Miss Salonga gave her a choice. Either you could switch classes or she could. Fitch wanted to be that housefly again. He wanted to land on the wall and listen to Miss Salonga's conversation with Amanda. She should have made me switch, Fitch said. I'm the one who... He let the sentence float. When Rachel Hill came into the class, he didn't even notice her smile at him. Mr. Wills, the famously monetist social studies teacher, gave Cash a hall pass with a little fanfare. When Cash wandered into the hall, he felt a strange jolt of adrenaline. He didn't need the hall pass, of course, but anything was better than being in class where teachers asked questions he never knew the answers to, and he spent most of the time feeling like an idiot. Out here in the hall, he wasn't stupid. He was just Cash Nelson Thomas, kid on the move. After going into the boys' bathroom where he washed his hands and stared at himself in the mirror for longer than he'd ever admit, he made his way to the trophy case. He wanted to look at the basketball trophy again. He didn't understand why he tortured himself this way, but there it was. The trophy was on the second shelf, as always, standing tall with the others. A shining reminder that the team didn't need him to win. You can run, but you can't shoot, and if you can't shoot, well, if you can't shoot, what's the point of playing basketball? That was the long and short of it. He was still staring at that stupid trophy when a voice shot over his head, making him jump. "How goes it, Thomas?" Cash knew who it was before he even turned around, and I'm sure enough there was Coach standing there smiling. "Hey, Coach," said Cash all casual. He tried to shove both hands in his pockets before he remembered that the cast wouldn't allow his right hand to be shoved anywhere. He shifted from foot to foot instead. How embarrassing to be discovered here at this moment by the very person who knew his failures all too well. Coach nodded towards the cast. "How's the arm?" "Not bad. Getting used to it." That was the truth, too. Penny LS Charlie didn't grate at him like it had last week, even though the letters were still big and bold and in his direct line of visions at all times. "We miss you on the team this year," Coach smiled. Cash knew that was a lie, and he knew that the smile was fake, but he also knew that people lied sometimes to make other people feel better. Coach was a nice guy, but the smile and the lie only made Cash feel worse. When Cash didn't respond, Coach kept talking. "This year goes by fast, huh? Seems like it was just football season. Soon it'll be track. Then it all starts up again." He shook his head. "Each year moves faster than the next." God, Cash hoped that was true. He wanted next year to move faster than the speed of light. "Yeah," Cash said, since he felt like he was supposed to say something. "Well," Coach said, "you better get to class soon, yeah?" Cash nodded, smiled. He watched Coach walk down the hall, but continued to stand there for the next few minutes. He wasn't ready to go back to Mr. Willis. He didn't want to slip back into the classroom shackles. Not yet. Fitch could destroy robots with enemy ships. He could grab extra oxygen on his way to the nuclear reactor and get out before it exploded. But the maze was his enemy. The maze was his kryptonite. You had to fly the ship through it without getting zapped or shot. The twists and turns seemed to come out of nowhere. No matter how prepared he felt, they emerged to annihilate him. He wasn't doing his best anyway. His eyes were focused on major havoc, and his brain floated somewhere else. He hadn't seen Amanda all day, and he certainly didn't expect to see her, but he looked around anyway. When he passed the skee ball, he looked. When he grabbed a quick bag of popcorn, he looked. Every time a crop of brown hair moved in his peripheral vision, he looked. He didn't know why he was looking for her or what he would do if he saw her. He tried to imagine himself apologizing, but the image wouldn't formulate. He tried to imagine saying, "Hey, Amanda," as if nothing had happened, but that didn't seem right either. So what he expected to accomplish? It took him 45 minutes to spend all his quarters. When he had, he wiped his hands down the front of his jeans and decided to walk around. Vern hadn't come today, and there wasn't much else to do, but he didn't want to go home. He wandered by Galaga, Pole Position, Centipede, and Pac-Man. He wandered by the popcorn machine when he made his way to the pinball row. Mr. Hindley smiled widely at him. He was standing next to the Bright Star one with the crumbled "out of order" sign in his hand. The bulbs flashed. "Ready for takeoff." "Patron Thomas," Mr. Hindley said. He patted the top of the machine. "Our friend is back. How about a game?" "Give her a test run?" "I'm out of quarters," said Finch. "Maybe next time." I'm sure you wouldn't want to try and hear her out again. Anyway, to be honest, I don't know why I bothered with this thing," said Hindley. "No one plays them." Fitch eyed the line of the machines. 5 in all? "Have you ever thought of selling one?" Fitch asked. "You could use the money to buy more games like Alpha Mission or Battle City. You could even get a stand-up pinball machine." "That wouldn't make any sense," Mr. Hindley said. "Why would I get a pinball cabinet when I have actual pinball right here?" Fitch shrugged. "Just a thought. Mark my words, Fitch. One day, someone is going to march in here and become the next pinball wizard. Next thing you know, it's..." Mr. Hindley's words drifted away as he eyed something over Fitch's shoulder. His face morphed into a knowing smile. "We'll talk more later," he said, patting Fitch's shoulder. Suddenly, Fitch was standing by the Jessicas. "Oh," he said. The girls each held a Coke with a gloss-stained straw. Jessica Diaz flashed a toothy smile. "Hey, Fitch," mumbled Fitch. JB took a sip of her drink. "Welcome back." "Welcome back where?" Fitch said. His throat was dry. "To school, silly," JB replied. "After your suspension?" The way she whispered it and groaned made him feel uncomfortable. He cleared his throat. "We heard what happened," JB continued. "We know she started the whole thing. It's so unfair that you were suspended for 2 days. Fitch said.
He felt like Major Havoc trapped in a maze, not sure what he was supposed to do or say next. Anyway, Jessica Diaz said. She glanced at her friend, then at Fitch. We were wondering something. Fitch has asked. At least he thought he did. He couldn't quite tell if his mouth was moving, but he did look as nervous as he felt. JB bit her straw. She lifted it up with her teeth, then released it. Do you like anyone? Fitch's hands were sweating. Like anyone? Yeah, like. Oh, he wished Mr. Hindley would come back. It was much more comfortable talking to him than the Jessicas. He felt warm and exposed like a giant spotlight was shining over him. No. The Jessica's face brightened. Apparently he answered correctly. Good, Jessica Diaz said. Because someone likes you and we were wondering if you'd be interested in her. JB rolled her eyes. Of course he will be. She fiddled with her straw again. Do you want to know who it is? Fitch had no response. He was still trying to process the words coming out of their mouths. Okay, he said finally. It's Rachel, JB said. She bounced on her toes as if it were the most exciting news of the century. Maybe it was. Rachel Hill? Fitch stared at her blankly. Was this some kind of joke? Fitch shoved his hands in his pocket. She told me today, JB continued. Apparently she has a thing for bad boys, as she puts it. Bad boys, Fitch repeated. The words landed on his ears, but made no logical sense. Rachel Hill? Him? Bad boys? Fitch started a sentence. I'm not... When he didn't continue, the girls simply stared at him. Their bright expressions dissolved into confusion. Jessica Diaz cocked her head to one side like a dog who just heard an unfamiliar noise. It's Rachel Hill, she said. Don't you like her? Like her? He never even spoken to her. He never even considered speaking to her. Rachel was in a different galaxy. What did it mean to like someone anyway? He thought of Vern with his buttered fingers and starry-eyed crushed. Said Fitch, I'm not really looking for a girlfriend. The Jessica's mouth dropped open in unison. He'd never seen two people look more startled. It was as if he set fire to $1 million. They looked like they were about to say something else, but Fitch's attention had shifted to a tall girl with brown hair who was standing near asteroids. She turned around. It wasn't Amanda. He exhaled. I gotta go, he said. He stepped around the Jessicas, heart pounding, and left them standing in the blinking lights of Bright Star 1. There was a line on Cash's bedroom wall. He couldn't remember where he'd put it there. Last year, maybe? It was a faint, simple hash mark, pretty high up, drawn with pencil. It served as a goal line of sorts, something for him to aspire to. The day his fingertips grazed this line, he reasoned, was the day he would be a worthwhile basketball player. Someone to make Dr. J proud as he watched from his poster on the opposite side of the room. The distance between Cash's fingertips and that hash mark may as well have been a mile through. He never even got close. For a while, the hash mark taunted him, a visual reminder of his athletic failures, but he never erased it. Eventually, he learned to ignore it. He couldn't remember the last time he faced it the way he did now. Surely he'd improved. Surely he'd grown. Surely he could do it now. He bounced up and down and loosened his shoulders. He wiggled the tips of his fingers on his right hand, which jutted out of his cast like the salted sausages. This time, he would hit his mark, even if re-injured wrists in the process. He took a deep breath and went for it. He wasn't even close. He could almost hear Dr. J sigh. When he turned around swearing under his breath, Bird was in the doorway. Mom is picking up KFC for dinner, she said. What are you doing? Cash would have been embarrassed if it was anyone but Bird. Nothing, he said. Just working on my jump shot, I guess. Not that it matters. He sat down with his back against the wall. He kept talking, though he didn't know why. I'm not good at anything, he continued. Yes, he knew he was feeling sorry for himself, but he didn't care. He counted off on his fingers. I suck at school. I can't shoot. I can't jump. I can't even cook a freaking hamburger. His neck burned. The only thing I can do is run. Run away from homework. Run away from points. Bird shrugged. Well, there you go. What do you mean, there I go? You just said you were good at running. Cash snorted. Yeah, running from homework, running from passing grades. Sure, lots of good that does, Bird. Thanks for the pep talk. He leaned his head against the wall. Maybe you're just playing the wrong game, she said, and then she closed the door.